101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a managing partner of Woodward, Kelly, Fulton, and Kaplan Law Office. No other than Mr. Brandon Woodward.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Yes.
Very excited.
Welcome, Mr. Brandon. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Well, sure. My name is Brandon Woodward. I am the managing partner of a South Florida law firm called Woodward, Kelly, Fulton, and Kaplan. Our law firm handles almost exclusively business law matters. Some of my partners handle bankruptcies, but generally on the commercial side of things. Uh, my role here is to handle business law. My particular emphasis and what keeps me busy is the mergers and acquisitions side of the practice. Mergers and acquisitions just being a fancy word of saying buying and selling businesses. We've been I started my firm by myself in 2011. We merged in 2018 to form the partnership we have today. Two offices, three partners, four associates, and a nice group of support staff that keep us going.
Mr. Brandon Woodward, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today let's talk about the legal brief, business law, and a side of sarcasm. Let's start with the name business law with a side of sarcasm. What made you decide to spice up a typical dry world of legal advice with a generous serving of wit and sarcasm?
Well, you know, business law doesn't always lend itself to big personalities or to that sort of thing. I am from the Midwest. Again, in our before we went on, I am from Kansas City, Missouri. It's my nature to help people, and a lot of my clients don't deal with lawyers every single day. So my job, and it's not necessarily pure sarcasm. It is. I do try to make the process of dealing with a law firm not entertaining, but at least not painful. A lot of folks deal with the legal system when they're in times of crisis. Criminal law, family law, bankruptcy law. Those are all generally things, that you don't want those things to be happening to you. And a lot of times lawyers come in where the emotions are high. Business law is very different. Business law is proactive. Business law is there to help you negotiate certain risks in the business world. I always say my firm is dedicated to helping business owners with deals and disputes. And the biggest deal there is the again the purchase of a company, or when it's time to sell your company. That is what people call me for.
Yes. Is the sarcasm primarily a marketing tool to grab attention, or do you find it's actually more effective ways to get through to the entrepreneurs about serious legal risks?
I try not to advertise too heavily with sarcasm. There still needs to be a level of professionalism. I'm dealing with face to face over video with some of the largest law firms in the world, so we do have an expectation of professionalism. I just finished being president of my county bar association, so you do, and attorneys generally have a level of decorum and respect for each other, for the process, for our clients, and of course for the other side as well. So sarcasm has its place, of course, but the bottom line is you can be clever, and you can be funny, but at all times we do have a job to do. We do respect each other's time and each other's intellect and education.
What's the most common eye roll inducing a legal misconception you hear from a business owners that just demands a sarcastic response?
I can't think of one. I don't know if I would actually, if someone has a misunderstanding or a miscommunication or a lack of knowledge about a legal process, that's not necessarily their fault. Law is complex. Law, especially business law, and there's a lot of misinformation out there or half information out there. A lot of small business owners will try to do it themselves, or they will try to write a contract by themselves. And you know what? I take nothing away from them for trying to for giving it the first shot. In fact, DIY, maybe you with your podcast, me when I started my law firm, doing it yourself is a great educational tool. But at some point, you need to learn when to ask for help. And when people do come to my office, approach me through the website or through my staff, they need help with a business solution. And I, like I said, I want to be courteous. I want to say, hey, this isn't your fault. You may not have known this because this isn't easy stuff we're talking about. Limited liability companies, corporations, partnerships, the documents that underpin all of those. So I don't think I would. I don't think I would start with a with a snarky or sarcastic response. It's actually more genuine. It's actually respectful. They've reached out to me for help. And my response would be a very welcoming. Well, you need to know a few things, and I'm here to help you.
Yes, indeed. Just call Mr. Brandon Woodward for sure. And tell us on the realities of business law. In your experience, what is the single most overlooked legal detail that entrepreneurs blow off? And only to have it come back to haunt them in a spectacular fashion.
That's an easy one, Daniel. When business and entrepreneurs get into business with someone else or someone else's money, they a lot of times they fail to document that agreement. And my advice to them is always the same. If you are again working with someone else, either a partner, a co-owner of some sort, even if it's family, sometimes especially if it's family, you want to at least get the rules of the road set out in writing, preferably by an attorney, so you all understand the rights and responsibilities going forward. It's also the time to do it at the outset while everybody still has good feelings and everybody likes each other and there's warm wishes. Um, I'll pause here. When I said other people's money, sometimes they call it the silent partner, or there's a backer or an investor. Silent partners are rarely silent. They will want to have influence or opinions about how the business is going to be run. Having good documentation that says who has the final say about decisions, who runs what, who owns what, that is what saves the heartburn down the road. It is a little, you will spend some money having say an operating agreement or a shareholders agreement drafted professionally on the front side. But if the road gets bumpy later, it just gets the partners fall out, the business doesn't go the way it was supposed to. That same document will have the exit plan on it. Okay, here's how we're going to break up. Here's how we're going to get away from each other. If you don't have that, most state, every single state has a set of default rules, and it usually involves blowing up the company, and everybody loses. Remember this: planning, legal planning, is always going to be cheaper than legal defense. If you have to go into litigation to actually file lawsuits or really take sides and fight it out with lawyers in court, that is, in my opinion, anywhere from 5 to 10 times more expensive. And that, sir, is the bite on the backside that we try to avoid.
Mr. Brandon, let's play a game. Legal nightmares from the front lines. Can you give us a summary story of a business legal disaster that was both utterly preventable and darkly hilarious in hindsight?
Oh, Um, no, I don't. I would have to say not much of it is darkly hilarious. That's none of my clients or anyone in that state. I don't find terribly amusing, but the bottom line is there are certain preventable mistakes. Certainly, like the tale I just said, if, an excellent company doing very, very well, but at some point the partners wanted to split up. They couldn't agree. They couldn't actually agree on a single asset, and I believe the asset was a very expensive camera. Uh, the gentlemen were realtors of some kind, and they had a very, very expensive camera that they used for, and they were working together 50-50. And they had they together bought a very expensive camera to take pictures of houses, or maybe it was a drone camera, something. It is expensive. They couldn't agree who was going to keep it or who was going to use it the most, or who was responsible if it broke. Again, all of those things could have been written out very quickly, in a one page. Hey, I have the drone camera on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You have it on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you're responsible for damage. They could have written that up themselves in about 15 minutes. They chose not to. They got into a dispute over whose turn it was to use the camera, and they ended up blowing up their own company over it. They did not. They stopped talking to each other. One of them called me and asked if I could dissolve the company. I said if they both agree to dissolve the company, there's a legal process to do that, and they did. And it's unfortunate. I think they were doing well with each other, but it was just something small, and as you said, sort of preventable with a little bit of planning. And at the end of the day, Daniel, all they had to do was buy a second camera. Really, I mean, why wouldn't they just buy another
Yes.
drone so each one has it and we don't have this issue? Um, borrow a little money from the bank or put it on a credit card. I don't recommend credit card, but there are ways to solve that problem short of destroying your company.
Definitely. And for solo entrepreneurs listening who thinks they can't afford a lawyer, what is your sarcasm-free, genuinely urgent piece of advice for them?
Sure. It really is money. In my opinion, it's money well spent. I would avoid documents that are free or low cost on the internet, or buying anything off the internet. Wherever you are, you certainly want to maybe look for an attorney, um, especially for business, that specializes in business law. A lot of attorneys will add business law to their offerings: family law, criminal law, estates and trust, and business law. I caution against engaging those kinds of attorneys for the simple reason: if you do many things, you rarely do any of them well. Wherever you are, and most small towns may not have an exclusively business attorney, but most bigger towns will. Um, Someone that has the experience, and then ask up front, hey, what should a budget? I want to do this. What should my budget be? That's a nice way of saying, hey, how much is this going to cost me? If it is too expensive, maybe try a different attorney. Maybe attorneys generally don't take payment plans. And then at some point, like I said, you have to sort of make the decision: is this an investment you want to make in your company by having good legal documents created on the front side? I can't help you with that, but I can certainly, as I alluded to earlier, um, not having a proper legal start to your company can absolutely cost you far, far more on the backside. Um, and again, like I said, we all we have. I say that my partner says this a lot. All lawyers have to sell is our time. I have no product. I don't sell paper. I have my time and my knowledge over 25 years of being an attorney. So we get paid a rate commensurate with that. And our clients, I would say 100% of the time, save money in the long run. They find the value in the advice or the documents we're creating for them as money well spent.
Business law experts. Can you expound this phrase on your website?
Sure. Notice there that we put periods between the three words, and it really does focus on the two things we do: business experts and legal experts. Um, there's business, there's law, and my practice kind of spans both of them. Many of the solutions come through that I'm being asked for aren't necessarily legal solutions. The example of buying a second camera is not a legal solution. That's a business answer. But a lot of times I handle hundreds of businesses over my career, thousands over my career, a couple of dozen at any one time through my office. I've seen lots of industries. I've seen lots of transactions. And so I probably have some solutions that the business owner who's focused on their business and doesn't study other businesses like I do, I may have some solutions and some advice that they find valuable. That's business expertise. For the side note here, a lot of times if it's not a legal issue, a lot of times it's a cash flow issue or it's an insurance issue. By dealing with other professionals, insurance professionals, financial planners, accountants, or other attorneys, like I said, I have the ability of a large contact list to be like, that's an accounting question. You really need to go talk to this accountant who specializes in manufacturing, that specializes in physician groups. Go talk to this CFO that talks about vehicle, that knows how to depreciate vehicles. So a referral off to another professional is also part of being a business expert. Law, well, like I said, about 25, a little over 25 years doing it. I've achieved the Martindale-Hubbell AV preeminent, which I'm not really sure what the percentage is. It's either the top 2 or top 5% in the country have that designation. And I'm tickled to death that I've had it for 5 years. Lots of other sort of awards. I've got top 10 this, of the year that, and it just kind of goes to all I do is business. And so I can focus and hone my advice and be that kind of expert, a legal expert, for my clients.
Mr. Brandon, as a speaker, entrepreneur, lawyer, and expert, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
My short and long-term goals. Well, certainly, we're starting into the fourth quarter here. A lot of merger and acquisition activity picks up in the fourth quarter. We anticipate seeing a reduction of the prime rate coming out of the next Fed meeting. When the prime rate comes down, it's easier to borrow money. When it's easier and cheaper to borrow money, banks want to get cash off their books. They want to deploy that cash into business. And that's where you will see in the fourth quarter a whole lot of businesses that were for sale actually get sold. Businesses that were going to acquire their competitor or acquire one of their suppliers. You're familiar with buy up your supply chain strategy. Those deals go through all in the fourth quarter. We want to recognize that kind of stuff with a low interest rate here in 2025 and get it on the books prior to 2026. So that's the short-term goal. Long-term goal, and like I said, my goal is to manage and handle those kind of transactions as many as I can and help as many business owners through that process in the short term. Long term, certainly I want to keep my law firm moving forward, growing at a steady, sustainable pace. We don't get too big. We don't never wanted to be in every city. We have a proper amount of attorneys and support staff, and we've grown year over year. So that's what I want to continue to do, and maybe work on my golf game a little bit. I'm not very good.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Brandon, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be like you?
Well, being a business attorney is a bit of a niche practice. But one of the things, whether to be any kind of professional, and that's either on the financial side, the accountants, the financial planners, attorneys, doctors, any professional bankers. I've always found if you can under promise and over deliver, keep your clients' expectations in check, let them know what you do, and then deliver more. Give them a little bit extra on every job. If it's take the extra calls, it's spend the extra time. If you're a contractor, add an extra coat of paint. Does it cost much? No. The goodwill you're going to get on the backside, the good review, the stars, or the referrals you're going to get later by doing a good job, and maybe doing a little more than expected. absolutely is a recipe to set you up for success in the future.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Brandon. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Sure. For most businesses, cash flow is always kind of, especially early stage businesses, cash flow tends to be tight, and it's always a mystery. At least was for me in my first few years. Where to you get paid? How do you deploy it? Who gets paid first? The rent for the office, the staff, or you? Or do you go out to dinner and celebrate? A book that was written several years ago is this one. It is called Profit First. Michael Malkowitz. Excellent book. It really drills down how a company should make money, how it can actually increase its revenue, and then once it has some revenue coming through the door or more of it, here's how to deploy it correctly. And the number one thing it tells you is pay yourself first. If you are the owner
Yes.
or you are the owner operator, pay yourself and pay yourself the market rate. And that's a tough mindset to have. A lot of owners will say, "Well, I didn't pay myself this month."
Yes.
Well, unfortunately, that makes you that's a very expensive hobby you have if you're not getting paid for it. So, and if that's the only sarcasm I can come up with for today, the bottom line is you do need to compensate yourself at the rate you are with your education and experience. Otherwise, like I said, owning a business maybe isn't for you.
Yes.
That's okay. People start and stop businesses all the time. You're not married to your business. If it didn't work or didn't go the way you wanted it to, so be it. But before you throw in the towel, think about, like I said, the Profit First book. See if that can't cure some cash flow issues and get you on the right path of profitability. And again, that's the book I recommend almost for every entrepreneur and business owner, big or small.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for that recommended book, Mr. Brandon. And pay your first. Your
Put
first
yourself first.
1%. Yes. Love yourself and pay your first yourself. So what is the simple, non-scary first step a new business owner should take to get their legal house in order without needing to mortgage the house or to pay for it?
Okay. Very easy and it's free. Have a business plan. And start thinking about getting your finances together. Legal is not that does not necessarily have to be the first step. Um, get your like I said, so have a business plan. Understand how you're going to make money. Uh, it's not going to fall off from the trees. It's not easy to do it. What your product or service is, who you're going to sell it to, and then how are you going to how are you going to sustain it? What sort of capital money are you going to put in and how much? At what point, hey, I've put $100,000 into this and we have not had a single sale. At what point do you look for the emergency exit? So that's a business plan. And that is absolutely the first step to any business because that will guide you towards the legal side of things. Because remember, I started this conversation with, oh, I'm going to have a partner. That's where you need the legal. Okay, if me and my business, my backer, my investor, or me and my family member are going to do this together, how are we going to work together? That's a legal step. And along with that, that might be where you contact either an attorney. I don't recommend DIY, but if you're in a state that allows you to file your own, register your own business, that's called incorporation. Limited liability company is the most popular now and has been for many years. You could be a corporation. I do not recommend partnership unless you're in a professional, like a profession, architecture, accounting, and then you definitely need an attorney to put together a real partnership for IRS and legal purposes. But like I said, business plan first, and then incorporating your business with your state. Open the bank accounts, and you're on your way. Then start your marketing, whether that's social media, traditional marketing, but hew very closely to your business plan, and then bring your business law advisor on not too far down the road. Get with one of us pretty soon, particularly if you are in business with someone else or someone else's money.
Yes, indeed. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, Mr. Brandon, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season. I'm a book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season. I'm a food 101 in fifth season as well.
Wow, you
Geography
have
101 in fourth season. I'm a baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season. And Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season. And Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to
you're a
them.
busy man, Daniel.
Busy, busy indeed. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. And Mr. Brandon,
Of
I'm
course.
inviting you to be my guest on Law 101. And let's talk about your expertise and let's empower people all over the world through your knowledge for sure. And finally, let's talk about what's the future of legal services for small businesses. If it's more, well, more chaos, more sarcastic lawyers, or more something else entirely.
Um, Certainly, I think there small businesses are getting squeezed a little bit. Bigger companies have, certainly more advantages of scale. But there's always a spot, in every town for the small to mid-sized business, particularly in the service industries, the physicians, accountants, pool builders, construction, things like that. So the future for all of those is certainly embrace technology. If automate as much as you can. I'm not saying take the human element out of your business, but anytime you can standardize your processes and do the same thing over and over and stamp it out, you're going to get better, consistent results, and you're going to be able to do it faster and possibly at a better margin. So, small businesses, it is a fantastic life. You can actually make some money doing it. A lot of millionaires come out of small businesses. The future, like I said, I don't see a lot of regulatory issues. I don't see a lot of tax issues in the near future. It is a good time to own a business, but at the same time, recognize that the market forces are there, and you need to innovate and stay on top of, what your competitors are doing. Don't be afraid to embrace a new product line,
Yes.
and stay moving forward that way.
Mr. Brandon Woodward, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. Our website's on the screen right there, and it's very easy to get a hold of us.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Brandon Woodward because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering legal business to come. So, Mr. Brandon, looking forward for our first episode of Law 101. And more to come, people. See
Sounds
you
good.
soon.